Hi everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're returning Sabi. I've got a lot to talk about. Last time I was talking about things that went wrong with my current property. So I thought this week I can show you. So the property is in Ashwood Manor and we found a tenant. Yeah. So you can see the listings rentals about 6K for a bachelor, 6.7 for one bed, 6.8 for one bed. So this is the same complex. There's a complex that looks like it next door as well. And then 7. So we're going from a tenant that had 6.8 and I asked the agent to try 7.2. I actually wanted a 7.5, but then she was like 7.5 is too close to the amount for a 2 bed. So we played around with 7.2 and then we got a lot of inquiries and we got a listing at that price. So I'm glad for that. So the complex or the pictures were taken 2 years ago when I left, about 2.5 years ago when I left. So the place looks like, yeah, it has my furniture. It's when I was living here. So enjoy that. So that's my couch. You can see like Ilandu Kazam here. Yeah, that's my pillows. That's my genuine leather couch. That's it's the side camera. Ouch. That's my this. Then, what else? That's my kitchen. That's my, what's the name? My TV was mounted. That's my very expensive coffee machine. That's my blender, my kettle, my washing machine. And then that's my bean bag. Yeah, more of my kitchen. That's my desk. You guys will remember when I got my new laptop. I've actually got a puzzle on my desk now. So I've always been into puzzling. It's so beautiful because it feels like I'm watching an old me. That's my other chair that I had at the time. This is my bed. Oh, I got these from one of my little exes. So that's cute. I had to leave that plant behind. I still have this blanket. I still have these curtains. Yeah, that's my bedroom, I guess. So that thing burst at the end, but I think a year ago we got someone to properly redo it because water started coming out again. We got a plumber to redo it, and then the tenant was like, "It's ugly." So I was like, "Okay, let's paint, let's what." So Rosen takes care of all of the maintenance, luckily. So they handle it for me, and then yeah, they bill me at the end of the month. Right. So it had a full shower, so it has a bath and a shower, which I really enjoy. And then there's a swimming pool. Like I said, it's Ashwood Manor. It's in Paulshof. You have covered parking. So for a 1 bedroom, you get one. For a 2 bedroom, you get two. For a bachelor, you also get one. Yeah. So that's my complex. So I'm sorted in terms of the tenant there. And then for my other unit, we're busy signing an agent. That's the one where the tenant is being a bit problematic. So that's being resolved as well. I'm really grateful. I've got amazing agents that I'm working with, and things are really working out. And then my other issue was my flatmate. That's also being resolved. So she's moving out month end. And yeah, so things are coming together in my personal capacity. Then in my professional capacity as a property investor, I want to show you how mad Cape Town rental and, by extension, the sales property market is, and I'll tell you why. So last week I told you guys about the residential property price index that came out. Now I want to show you that this is a 2 bedroom at Belhar Views that was sold for 650,000. It was listed at 650. I don't know what it's sold as. I'm just gonna show you. This was about 3 months ago, right? This is the unit. These units are relatively new. There's nothing special about this. It's 38 square meters and it's just an apartment, right? 3 months ago. This is 2 months ago, right? This is 23rd August, a month ago. It's listed at 720. It's a 2 bedroom unit in the exact same complex. There's really nothing special about it. Nothing has been done that's different from that other one. Same complex, same body corporate, 720. So 70,000 in 1 month. Then this is the latest one, 800,000. 800,000. Same complex, nothing different. The pictures are nicer. Same complex, same everything, 800,000. Now, I'm showing you this to show you that you can pay 650,000 for an apartment, or even here you could negotiate and climb it to 620, or you can pay 800,000, especially if you don't have this, which is the property report. That's what you're going to be paying, because you're going to see the listing for 720, you're going to see the listing for 800,000, and that's what you're going to end up paying. That's 150,000 in terms of difference. 150,000, right? Let's look at Belhar, right? But what I also want to look at, I've also got the complex report. We'll also look at the complex report. Like, I think it's actually so mad that Cape Town agents are doing this. And you have to understand, rentals go hand in hand. Sorry about that. Rentals go hand in hand with sales, right? Because rentals are, well, the sum of the rentals are the discounted cash flows of the future projected rentals is what makes up the sales price, right? So if these guys think they can get ridiculous amounts for rentals, short term or long term, then that pushes up the sales price, which is what we're seeing here. So this is Belhar, the city, right? They're showing you property transactions. This is the latest one. I've got it today. These are the property transactions. They've obviously gone up in 2024. There were big developments close to UWC campus, right? So they're showing us in terms of volume, they went up quite a bit, around 200, right? And then the value also went up a bit, 600,000, 750, went back down to 650. If you're paying 800,000 for a sectional title, what are you doing in Belhar? And then this is a full title. We're only going to look at sectional title because that's the case that I brought to you. Investment properties, 20%. Like, less than 20% of people are holding investment properties in this area. Even though it's close to the University of the Western Cape, and CPUT also has a campus here, right? So it's not really popular, not as popular as your Claremont area. Remember, I did a video on that. This is the rental payment index, right? Relative to the rest of the country, you've got above, not more than 5% above, but above green, and then you've got a lighter green, which is at the national average, and then you've got like less than the local average. So below extension 19 and a bit in extension 3 and extension 2, they're not the greatest payers, right? And then you're looking at the good standing ratio. So you're seeing people are roughly in line or slightly above the good standing ratio. So you've got good quality tenants. I think 77%, 76% paid on time. And then partial payments, you had about 8%. And then did not pay at all, you had 5.3%. And then paid late, 9%. And then those who paid within the grace period, GP, it's about 1.52%. So I think it's a good quality, area. This is the residential yield. So you'll see, first of all, that it only starts from 2019, so you don't have a lot of history to go on, right? So if you were to buy in this area, you're not going to go in and buy 4 or 5 units at a time. It's going to be concentrated, especially if that's all your portfolio. You're going to buy maybe 1 or 2, depending on the size of your existing portfolio, because you don't have a lot of history, you don't have a lot of know-how, like what's your exit strategy, what happens in 7 years' time. You don't have enough knowledge of what's going to happen. You know, there was a load of supply that came in just before COVID, and now we're just riding that. But in terms of the yield, you're seeing about 13%, and then the effective yield is about 12%. You'll remember what we said: effective yield is the return after the percentage of outstanding have been deducted to show only the good standing. So in theory, you should be yielding 13%, but in actual fact, if you subtract the people who don't actually pay, you're getting more like 11.5 to 12% in the area, right? Relative to national of about 11. We're only going to look at sectional, like I said, and then these are the rental price trends. So you'll see here average rental price from quarter 3 of 2023. We're looking at 7.5, which is I think pretty decent, but the range is quite wide as well, between 7 and 8,500. And then let's look at 2 bedrooms. It's about 9K. And then 2024 that was quite thin, and then 2025 we had about 6.5K. That's a sharp decline. So it doesn't make sense that historically these units were about 600, 650,000, and now all of a sudden the 800,000 based on the rental. Remember we said rental, discounted cash flows gets us to the price. So already you can tell that the rental price is coming down. So why would I buy an 800,000 rand apartment now? The rental should be going in the opposite direction, or the selling price should be going in the opposite direction. Again, we look at the 2 bedrooms. So they're saying 2 bedrooms, 6.9, average is 7.9, and then 8.5 on the high end. Okay. Then in terms of the distribution, this is what you're seeing. Okay, this is freehold. For sectional title, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing strong 2 bed, 7, 7.5, 8. That's decent. That's decent, right? And then the rental price index, this is what you're seeing. Greater than 10%. You see, it's thin, but you are seeing a lot of, like, it's up. The rental is up, or it's flat, or it's, close to what you're expecting to RPPI, I guess, for the area and for the city and for national. And then you've got the property types. So there's a lot of freehold, some cluster, and then other. And then this is what's happening, like 40 or 37% is owned or bonded, and then 32 is about paid off, only 26% is rented. So there's not a lot of supply, which is good for the investor coming in. And then this is the property size, number of rooms. This is where we play in, 1 to 2 bedroom. That's about 20%. Okay, so there's a good investment case for it. And then house side, we're not really invested in that. Oh, this is the number of people. So these are the people that are renting. It's about 500 people that are renting, and they are sort of indifferent between a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, etc. And then you've got population group, about 90% is colored area, and then about 6.5% is Africans. Very little white people, if that's important to you. And then language and education, it's 64% Afrikaans, 30% it's English, and then 4.5% about other. And then in terms of the education, like some majorities, 36% have some secondary schooling, 10% is unspecified, 5% is other, and then 6% is completed primary. Grade 12, it's about 23%, and then 9% have no schooling whatsoever, and then 12% have some primary. And then you've got some statistics on the household age, not important for us. But then in terms of employment status, a lot of people are unspecified. They might be in the informal sector, and only 29% are in the formal sector, whereas 4% are in other. That might be the informal sector that is, measurable. And then 66% unspecified. You've got a proportion that's in the informal sector and a proportion that isn't employed. And then, this is also splitting that employment status by actual unemployed or not, and this is the type of sector, I guess. But 25% are kids or old people, 30% not applicable, 9% are unemployed, 2% are discouraged work seekers, the 30% are employed. So 9% being unemployed, that's lower than the national average of 33.2%. So I think it's a good enough area. You can still move forward as an investor. And then annual household income. This is quite interesting when we're seeing how expensive the households or the flats are becoming. So you're seeing like the majority of people are here, 38 to 76,000. That's about 20%. But then you've also got people here, 76 to 153. Mind you, is this monthly income? No. This is annual. This is annual income. This is annual income. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say it again. This is annual income. Orange is 307 to 614. 614, that's about 50K. That's what? 35, 30, 32 net. And it's only 6.8%. But you're selling houses, or you're selling 2-bedroom, 38 square meter apartments for 800,000. That's Belhar. Or I saved it wrong, but that's Belhar. This is actual Cape Town. Yeah, I named them incorrectly. Oh, I called two. Oh, they're both the same. Okay, they're both the same. And then here, let's look at the actual complex. The actual, because it's not enough to look at the listing. You want to know how much were they actually sold for, right? So they've got this 38 square meters. That's what the names are, the size, right? So if you look here, there was a sale on the 14th that was sold for 690. In December, 680. In Jan, in Feb, 680. In Jan, 650. Feb, 670, 670, 650, 66666. Everything is 66666. You go back a year and it's literally 520,000. I need to get my charger. 520,000, 570, 600 flat. How are you able to list this now at 700, at 720 and at 800,000? And if you don't have this information, if you're not doing your research, you are going to pay 800,000 for an apartment that is not worth 800,000. Transactions in the last 2 years. Here's the 38 square meter. Current owners, it's 30 to 40-year-olds that are not doing their research. Complex trends, average purchase price, again, 600,000. You're going to go there and buy it 800,000, which is here. Why? Why would you do that? Like, why? Why would you do that? And it's bonded. Like you see here, everyone is bonded. Everyone is bonded. Very few people, 47 are buying cash. That's only 10%. So the majority of the people in the complex, 91% of the people in the complex are bonding properties, and you're bonding properties for 800,000, 150,000 more than the last sale in the property in the complex. Come on, I'm gonna stop the video here. Maybe the hater because I'm currently looking for property and I can't afford the things that I'm seeing, especially the things that I like. But for me, I can't. Like, you have to do your research. Please do your research. From 650,000 to 720 to 800,000 in the space of 2 months. What has happened in Belhar in the space of 2 months that's causing this? No, guys, please do your research. Otherwise, these agents are gonna fumble you. I'm gonna end the video here. Thanks for watching.